Pain has a way of slowly renegotiating the terms of your life. The stairs you now take one at a time. The grandkids you watch run instead of chase. The trip you quietly stopped planning. And somewhere along the way, you started wondering, is this just what getting older feels like? Or is something actually wrong with my joint? I'm going to answer that, straight. I'm Dr. Corey Calendine, orthopedic surgeon here in Franklin, Tennessee. I specialize in hip and knee replacement. I've done well over 10,000 of them. But the most important thing I do isn't in the operating room. It's the conversation before anyone gets there. In my experience, patients show up one of two ways. Either too early, hoping surgery is going to fix something it can't, or way too late, having spent years in pain because no one ever gave them a clear picture of where they actually stood. This guide and this video is my attempt to give you that picture. Clearly, honestly, before you decide anything. Here's what I need you to understand first, because once you get this, everything else makes sense. Your hip and your knee both depend on the same thing, a layer of tissue called cartilage. It caps the ends of the bones. Its job is to do two almost impossible things at the same time: absorb impact and let the joint glide with almost zero friction. A healthy knee moves with less resistance than ice on ice. With every step you take, your knee absorbs 3 to 5 times your body weight, thousands of times a day. Cartilage manages all of that, silently, automatically, as long as it stays healthy. Here's the one thing I say in almost every consultation: cartilage does not heal. Unlike bone, unlike muscle, cartilage has no blood supply, which means it has no repair mechanism. When it's damaged, by age, by injury, by disease, that damage is permanent. The body cannot grow it back. Once it's gone, it's gone. Bone contacts bone. That contact is what causes the pain, the stiffness, the grinding, the loss of function. The 4 main culprits are osteoarthritis, by far the most common, inflammatory conditions like rheumatoid arthritis, prior joint injuries, and a condition called avascular necrosis, where the blood supply to the bone itself is cut off. Different causes, same endpoint, a joint that no longer works. I tell patients, this is not discouraging, it's clarifying, because once you understand why the joint is failing, everything else we're about to talk about makes much more sense. So how do you know if you've reached that point? There's no single blood test, no magic number on an X-ray that makes the decision for you. But after thousands of these conversations, the same patterns show up. For the hip, the most telling symptom isn't even where most people expect. It's groin pain, deep in the front of the hip, right where your leg meets your torso. Not the outside of your hip, the groin. Patients tell me all the time they thought it was a pulled muscle, a hernia, anything but the hip. It's the hip. Beyond that, stiffness that makes putting on socks feel like a personal challenge. A limp that develops so gradually someone else pointed it out before you noticed it yourself. And pain that wakes you up at night. When a joint is hurting while you're lying still, that's a signal the arthritis has progressed. For the knee, stiffness that's worst first thing in the morning or after a long car ride. Difficulty going downstairs, descending is almost always harder than going up. Swelling that never quite disappears. A knee that buckles or feels like it might give out. And in more advanced cases, a visible change in the way your leg looks. The alignment shifting. But here's the question I actually ask every patient. Not, how bad is the pain on a scale of 1 to 10? The question is this: what have you given up because of your joint? Sleep, long walks, picking a parking spot based on how far you'll have to walk, not going on a trip, missing time with grandkids. When your joint starts making those decisions for you, that's when this conversation needs to happen. Before we talk about surgery, let's talk about what to try first. Because joint replacement is not the first step, and it should not be. The right path for hip or knee arthritis always starts with conservative management. Activity modification, moving away from high-impact activities and towards swimming, cycling, water aerobics. Things that keep you fit and maintain muscle strength without hammering the joint. Physical therapy to build up the muscles around the joint, specifically the quadriceps for the knee and the hip abductors for the hip. Those muscles are the joint's shock absorbers. The stronger they are, the less load goes through the cartilage. Weight management matters more than most patients expect. Here's the math. For every 5 pounds you lose, your knee absorbs 20 fewer pounds of force with every single step. 20. Anti-inflammatory medications when appropriate. Cortisone injections when inflammation is driving the pain. And gel shots, hyaluronic acid injections, which supplement the natural lubricating fluid in the joint and give up to 80% of patients meaningful relief for up to 6 months. These tools are real. They can buy months or years before surgery becomes necessary. But here's what none of them can do: grow cartilage back. They manage symptoms. They cannot fix the structural problem underneath. When they stop giving you enough relief to live the life you want to live, that's not failure. That's information. It tells us the joint has moved past what symptom management alone can address. If surgery becomes the right answer, here's your map. For most patients, total joint replacement is the correct procedure. Both sides of the damaged joint are replaced with precisely fitted implants. New surfaces. No more bone on bone. For hip replacement, the surgical approach matters, specifically how the surgeon accesses the joint. The anterior approach, which I perform, accesses the hip from the front without cutting through the gluteal muscles. Because those muscles are moved rather than cut, patients typically recover faster in the early weeks and need a cane for less time. For knee replacement, I use a technique called the subvastus approach, which leaves the entire quadriceps tendon completely intact. The quadriceps is everything in knee recovery. It's what lets you stand up from a chair, climb stairs, walk normally. Preserving it means faster strength return, faster range of motion, smoother early recovery. I also use the Mako robotic system for both hip and knee. Before surgery, a CT scan creates a 3-dimensional model of your specific joint. I plan the entire surgery before I ever walk into the operating room. Implant size, position, alignment, all mapped to your exact anatomy. In the OR, the robotic arm helps me execute that plan with a level of precision that's hard to achieve consistently by hand. Better alignment, better balance, lower rates of early implant problems. Here's what I want you to hear on technology. The tool matters, but the surgeon using it matters more. Volume, experience, and outcomes. Those are the questions worth asking any surgeon you consider. So, are you a candidate? Let me start with the most persistent myth in joint replacement. There is no minimum age. No maximum age either. I have performed hip and knee replacement on patients in their 30s and on patients in their 90s. Age alone does not determine candidacy. The joint does. 3 things actually drive the decision. First, the impact on your quality of life. Not pain on a scale of 1 to 10. Whether your joint is taking things from you that matter. Second, what your X-rays show. We need to see the structural reality inside the joint space narrowing, the bone-on-bone contact, the alignment. Third, whether conservative treatment has genuinely had a fair opportunity to work. Your overall health matters too. Heart health, blood sugar control if you have diabetes, body weight, smoking history. These affect surgical risk, and most of them can be optimized before surgery to improve your outcome. The right time isn't when you're old enough. It isn't when you've suffered long enough. You don't earn joint replacement by enduring. The right time is when the benefits of surgery clearly outweigh the risks, for you, specifically, at this point in your life. That evaluation is what a consultation is for. Coming in to talk is not a commitment to surgery, it's a conversation, and you deserve to have it. If any of this resonated, if you recognized yourself in those symptoms, or you've been quietly wondering whether it's time to have a real conversation, I put together a complete free guide that covers all of this in much greater depth. 5 full chapters. Everything I've covered here, plus the details that actually prepare you for a surgical consultation. What to bring, what questions to ask, recovery timelines, and the procedure-specific guides for hip and for knee replacement. It's free, no strings, just the information you need to make a confident, informed decision before you decide anything. When you're ready to talk in person, my team is here. I'm Dr. Corey Calendine. Thank you for spending this time with me.